When it came to the Deathclaw, I was just trying to figure out an elegant way to um, integrate the iconic Deathclaw horns into the silhouettes because the ways it'd been done before, it just didn't feel right to me. The old pixelated version, it looked pretty cool, and they had a unique kind of curve to them. But they were based on the horns of a Jackson chameleon, and it just didn't like totally work for me. And then in my Fallout 3 version that I made, um, the horns there also were kind of thin and kind of there's a lot of elements of the Deathclaw in Fallout 3 are kind of skeletal. I was trying to create a feeling of foreboding, and I wanted them to look scary. And so there's a lot of elements of them that are very creepy and skeletal. And but the more I started thinking about this perfect hunter killer hybrid that is the Deathclaw, I wanted, there's something, the difference for me between 3 and 4, among other differences in terms of like evolutionarily, like more feasible looking, et cetera, is also beauty. Is I think that because Deathclaws are this kind of immortal facets of the Fallout universe that are kind of like they are the dragons of the Fallout world.
Yeah.
So you can have a creature with more hit points or this and that, like the Mirelike Queen, whatever. But ultimately, the commonly like the dragon of the Fallout world is the Deathclaw. So this for me was important to give them a sense of beauty, and I also like to do make things artwork that is iconic, and iconic basically means you see it and you remember it. It leaves an impression on you. And a lot of that is conveyed by conveying a sense of personality that makes an emotional impact on the audience. And a lot of that also comes down to simplicity, visual simplicity, something that's not too dense and complex, such that your mind kind of latches on to the essential forms, shapes, and colors. And so when it came to the iconic Deathclaw horns, I tried to keep the same general shape and curve of them. They kind of bow out and then kind of come in a little bit and then out again. But I really worked to fuse it into the skull shape altogether. So there is elements of the Balrog that is kind of like a ram, you know, and
Yeah.
I thought, and that's kind of that's got that kind of like demonic satanic like feel, right? Like the four-horned ram or whatever it is, and which makes sense because it was a demon. But for me, I was thinking more like Balrog or like bull or something, and I was just thinking like, how do I make every inch of this thing a weapon, like some kind of weapon, and without making it redundant because it's not a demon, right? And so I don't want to make everything sharp and all these different little, like that's why even the plates on along his back, these like this crest of plates it has, is more like a stegosaurus. They're not spikes per se; they're more like skeletal plates, kind of. And so I thought I really focused on creating a very simple silhouette to those horns and kind of forming them so that altogether, counting the top of the skull itself, which is very plated and thick, it forms kind of like a ram, like a ram's head, but not even like a ram, but more like a bull, kind of, where you should be able to picture the very easy picture of the Deathclaw putting its head down and running forward full stop into something head first. It's the same reason, for instance, I made the tail have all these bony plates in it, but no spikes per se, because I just feel like on a creature like the Deathclaw, it's redundant. This thing has like a 7-foot wingspan with like 2-foot claws, right? Like it doesn't need more sharp claws in edges. That's even why like the teeth itself are not even that sharp. The teeth are not used for rending flesh. The teeth are used for just crushing bone, because by the time it gets to the Deathclaw's mouth, like it's done. Whatever it is, it's dead, like because it's been just completely eviscerated. So yeah, so that was Balrog, Balrog Bull, simplicity, iconic. Yeah, I wanted to take something that was essentially part of the lore and legacy and look of the Deathclaw and really integrate it into a more cohesive shape that is kind of then imprinted on people's memory.